Well. Hasn't it been a while? I guess I should address this mainly by saying the reason is partly because I haven't got anything to say, not that I ever did, but I think maybe not being severely depressed. Well, I'm just starting to use that term now, I guess, because I can't be bothered to clarify it every time, even though I don't really think it's classical depression. It means that I don't tend to ruminate as much. Maybe I'll never, just like how I always talked about, we're never one constant person, obviously changing from one moment to the next. Maybe I'll never be Smart Ollie again. Maybe that was Smart Ollie. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was still just an idiot. Maybe I'll never get to be him again. Maybe I can't simultaneously be smart and happy. Not that I wasn't that smart, was I? I mean, come on. Didn't really say anything. Just sort of chatted. I behaved in a way which a smart person would have to behave. In that, I had to think about things. Now I just don't tend to think about things as much. Anywho, also just didn't really care about my perception by other people as much as I do now. And yet, I'm happier now. Any fucking who. I would call pain a memory catalyst. No, I wouldn't. But that's what I wrote. I get the name Josie. It comes right before Joseph. As in, the name Joseph is abbreviated to Joe. And if Joe owns something, it's Joe's. So Joe's F, as in the letter F, Joe's F, and Joe's E. And E becomes for F in the alphabet. Joe's E and Joe's F. Okay, that's great. Oh God, this was a dark time. I tried to come up with some kind of diagram for myself to understand the importance of truth. I was just trying to work something. Never mind. I made such a mess of the fucking diagram. The importance of truth. Intention. I put intention hyphen reality. What? Oh yeah. Okay. So the two sides are intention and reality. So the left one before the hyphen is always the intention, and the outcome / the reality is always after the hyphen. So at the top you have truth and truth. So that's the only outcome in which you can intend truth, obviously. Well, the only outcome which intended truth results in an outcome of actual truth. So you could intend to be truthful. You think you're telling the truth. Oh God, Jesus Christ. Okay, it's what you think you're saying. So if you think you're being truthful, and the outcome is true, fucking hell. Then on the line below it you intend to be true. You intend to tell the truth, but you accidentally tell a lie because you were misinformed or whatever. Or you could accidentally tell a lie and... Oh no, you can intentionally tell a lie and accidentally tell the truth because you were misinformed again. Or anyway, and then the final one was you can tell a lie, intend to tell a lie, and you do tell a lie. But the only outcome in which... Well, the only way you can maximise the chance of the truth being actualised in the world is by telling the truth. God, that's so stupid. Anyway, I know what I was getting at, and I totally know what I was getting at, dude. God, I hate myself. I should probably fucking kill myself. Here we go. Let's go down this road again. Let's go down Suicidal Road. Let's commit suicide. Oh, good times, man. Good fucking times. Jesus. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I prefer not being actually suicidal, but there's still something missing. There's still there's no real... I mean, all my philosophy that I came up with, my bullshit philosophy, I know this. I don't have anything. While I enjoy life enough now not to make it worth ending as soon as possible, there's not something that I enjoy in life. It's just kind of a basal level of less dissatisfaction with it. So I'm looking for that one thing to centre it around, that you can really... Because I've now I've brought it back to zero, essentially. So before I was at a negative basal level. Now my basal level is at least 0, but I don't have anything that really takes it above 0. And in many ways, I always argued that non-existence is 0, but you can't really compare them. Because, you kind of can and you kind of can't. So there you go. Just in case I never covered it before, the human eye can't see more than 30 frames per second thing has always pissed me off. While it may be true that this is the case, and I seem to remember that the idea of FPS when it comes to human eyes is somewhat misconstrued, it doesn't address the totality of the situation. I think that's from some kind of Vsauce video. We may well only be able to see equivalent to 30 frames per second, but if the 30 frames we see... Again, this is where it breaks down a bit, because I've just said that it's not... You don't really see in frames. But if the 30 frames we see aren't perfectly temporally aligned with the 30 being displayed, the image/footage won't appear smooth or natural. By increasing the number of frames per second being displayed, you increase the likelihood that the frames during which a person is able to see correspond to a frame in the footage, otherwise you get misalignment. So what I'm talking about is, if we see 30 frames per second but there's a slight misalignment with the 30 frames being displayed on the screen, then it's not going to seem... You're not going to see every frame, so you'll actually be getting fewer frames than 30 frames per second, even though that's what's being displayed and that's what you're supposedly seeing, because they're not in alignment. So if you double the frames per second, then you increase the likelihood that a frame which you're perceiving in the world is in alignment with a frame that's being displayed on the screen. Whereas obviously the real world is just presenting infinite frames, and you're seeing the 30. Any fucking who. I've definitely discussed this in a convoluted way, but to make it simpler, humanism isn't good enough. We should strive for consciousnessism. Loss aversion is evolutionarily sound, and avoiding... Avoiding? That's not a word. That's the Simpsons thing. And avoiding loss is more critical than gain. In the loss of £10 scenario, this is from Thinking Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman and all that shit. In the loss of £10 scenario, it makes a bit of sense for the person not to be satisfied if they were to find another £10 the following day, because not only have they lost £10, they could have had an extra £10, but now they are where they started. Now, obviously, being where they started would suggest they should return to the same state of mind as when they started, but... Jesus Christ, but then they wouldn't have learned anything from the experience. By having a bias towards ruminating over the lost £10, they are less likely to lose £10 should a similar scenario occur again. Also, they have far more control in the loss of £10 than in the finding of it, and whilst loss and gain are both deviations from the norm, in most situations the norm is satisfactory for survival. Only loss is really a direct step towards potentially non-satisfactory conditions. Thus is more important to avoid the gain... Jesus Christ, what? Thus is more... Hang on. Only loss is really a direct step towards potentially non-satisfactory conditions. Thus is more important to avoid than gain, which is effectively just icing on a perfectly serviceable cake. I made a little list of a load of crap that I think moulded my sense of humour over the years. Not peanut butter and sliced banana toasted sandwich breakfast, but that's just another thing. Simpsons, Peep Show, Whose Line Is It Anyway, Zoolander, Austin Powers, In-Betweeners, Top Gear. Well, the Top Gear 7-seater convertible episode was one I was specifically talking about, because they had some real variations in their quality and humour. Of humour, mainly. Adam and Joe on 6 Music, Darren Brown Tricks of the Mind book, and there's loads more, which I couldn't... Black Books as well, I'll put that one in there. That should be in there. Sure, it's not quite as... I think I was writing that to recommend if I ever had to recommend a load of things to people. I think they were probably gold, you know. 2 dogs. So my dad at one point said that my auntie and uncle were going to be bringing their 2 dogs down to stay, and he could remember one of the names. He said one of them's called Tess, and he couldn't remember the other one, so I said... he said Tess and I said Tickles, because Tickles... is a dog's name, isn't it? Some people call their dog Tickles. If you have a dog called Tess, Tickles, then it becomes Testicles. But he didn't get it, and I don't like when it doesn't go. No, when it goes unnoticed, you know. It's going to give me a befuddled look. Mechatronic gloves for VR. They stiffen/lock in certain positions when hand is moved/closed. It gives the illusion of gripping different virtual objects. So you can have a virtual object in the virtual world, obviously, you're seeing in your VR goggles. But the glove that you're wearing is programmed. I was trying to come up with a way to do it. I was thinking of maybe some kind of I don't really know how to describe it, like that kind of snake. No, I'm not going to describe that at all. Like a spine that you see on robots or bionicles and shit. Anyway, I think a better, easier one to prototype would be using strings and pulleys, like little threads. Obviously, you need robotics on the forearm part of the glove somewhere to pull the pulleys and all the strings. What would be another? There was another way I came up with doing it, like some kind of smart material that uses electrical current to stiffen in certain positions. There are a few ways I was thinking of doing it anyway. Easter eye. A few years back, I came up with this, and I'm pretty sure that I later discovered that other people had come up with it before, but I definitely came up with it myself. Okay. You know how people are always using puns, like exactly and all that? I always finish it off with, come on guys, that's an earth, an egg in French. And then, also I came up with this one recently, this is the reason I wrote it down, was, there's no need for that foul language. Well, I feel like I might have been influenced by that joke somewhere else before. Just, our relationship with our past selves can be likened to that of one with a twin, in brackets, brother who has died. Okay, load of fucking stupid bullshit there. If you want to be good at anything, you need to do it, or I suppose have done it, when you were a child. I've had enough of this supposed psychological technique of picturing yourself on your deathbed and looking back at all the things you wish you'd done. What is this obsession with this idea that the final moment in life is the only one that matters, and that you should act only in the interest of that final moment, when you'll finally be able to cash in all your chips? Every moment is equally important, but once you realise you're trying to maximise the total amount of goodness, whatever that means, across all moments, it becomes apparent that there are some situations in which you can make sacrifices in a present moment to receive a return in the future. There is no perfect formula for navigating this space yet. I'm saying ... yet, full stop. Being a charitable Jesus-like figure is one, drugs, sex and rock and roll is another. But if you're dealt a dud hand in the lottery of neurobiology/neurochemistry, then you have to work with what you've got, and if it literally isn't worth working with, then so be it. Kill yourself, is what I'm saying. Never ask yourself, do I want a kid? Ask yourself if a kid would want you ... as a parent. Thinking about the time during which the vast majority of my attention was spent watching and consuming content of and related to the Four Horsemen, Harris, Hitchens, Dawkins, and to a much lesser extent Dennett, I think it really does matter which order one finds the content in. I don't think it's outlandish to state that each individual is moulded by their experiences and the information and ideas to which they are exposed. But with each iteration of new ideas taken on board, the way in which they will respond to the next set of ideas is altered. If, ignoring the vastly complex amount of differentiation that would have occurred during childhood and adolescence, obviously, a person is exposed first to someone like Hitchens, they may be more inclined to apply a greater weight in terms of their likelihood of adopting ideas to arguments supported by emotion and historical reference, whereas someone primarily influenced by Harris will be less influenced by such rhetoric, and I think apply more utilitarian and possibly objective perspectives to such arguments. Obviously, this applies more practically to broader topics. Well, every topic really. The order in which you are exposed to ideas and mentalities is highly important when it comes to determining how truthfully you will interpret information. I was playing around with that word truthfully there. I was looking for another word maybe, but it just affects how two identical people could be exposed to exactly the same content, and I'm saying identical people, so clones in every sense, in the impossible physical sense, and they could, if they were exposed to the same content, let's say 3 videos all expressing different views and opinions, the order in which they're exposed to them would make a huge difference to the clone. The two clones would be vastly different at the end of the 3 things if they were shown in different order. Any fucking way, extrapolate that to some other thing. Bye now. It's been great. Maybe this is the start of me being suicidal again. I don't know. I don't necessarily feel like it yet, but It's too early to tell, isn't it? There's a small part of me that feels like I want to go suicidal again, because I feel like maybe that makes me more likely to make a drastic change. But at the moment I'm just kind of stagnating away, but not as but it's not having as detrimental effect on my psyche as it was before. So hey, win-win. Win-loss. Win-lose. Win-lose. Lose. Don't really know. Bye!